Hi, I'm Carl Shalahorn with the Healthy Place Debunking Addiction blog. Today I thought we would talk about stress. Now stress is something that happens in all of our lives. We all have to deal with it. So how do you manage it in recovery? Well, let me give you an example of a definition of what stress is. It's physical, mental, or emotional strain or tension. So basically, we can all identify with that. Now, there's basically two types of stress. Eustress, which is the good stress, and distress, which is the not so good stress. So you see, with eustress, it might be something like, you're going for a job interview, all right? And you're all kind of pumped up, you're a little nervous, you're a little stressed, but that's a good kind of stress. You want that stress because it's going to help you perform better. Distress, on the other hand, might be something that might happen if you miss your bus and you're going to be late for that job interview. That's distress. So there's really two different ways of looking at stress. So today we're going to explore actually more of the distress definition. So in active addiction, we deal with stress in a lot of unhealthy ways. Of course, using drugs and alcohol is probably one of the worst ways you can deal with stress. You see, if you do that, the stress isn't going to go anywhere. It's just going to get worse. So, for instance, you might have a long day at work and you say to yourself, you know what, I could really use a drink. Well, that isn't always the best thing to do because, once again, the stress isn't going to be taken care of that way. If anything, it's just masked by the use of the alcohol. Or you may have an argument with a friend or a loved one. Very stressful experience. But once again, using drugs or alcohol will only make the situation worse, and thereby you're going to be in a situation where you're really not going to be able to deal with that very well. Also, you might have a physical ailment that could cause stress. You might have, for instance, you might have just learned that you might have diabetes, or you might have another health condition that needs to be addressed. That's very stressful, but once again, like I said, using drugs and alcohol is not the way to manage the situation. So you might be asking yourself, well, what can I do to manage stress? What can I do to deal with it? Well, basically, you can listen to music. That's one way that I often deal with stress. You can meditate. Meditation is a great way of allowing yourself to relieve yourself of the stress that's going on with you. And if it's done on a regular basis, your stress level will decrease. Exercise is something that I also like to promote when it comes to stress reduction. When you exercise, your body basically relaxes after you exercise because you're putting stress in the body that when you stop, it does go back to its normal state and then lowers the stress that you're experiencing. You also might want to try communicating, just talking to someone. I know one thing that I do a lot is talk to someone, like my wife, for instance, and when I'm under stress, I'll talk to her, and when I'm done communicating, I will feel better as a result. You can also read or watch a funny movie or a comedy. You know, sometimes just distracting yourself can be a great way to deal with stress that's on hand. You know, you can just kind of give yourself a little mental and emotional break. Now, the last thing you want to do is use drugs or alcohol. Like I said, that's something that is really going to make matters worse, and in many cases, you'll find yourself still having that stress there after the alcohol or drug is worn off. And you got to finally remind yourself that this too shall pass. You know, many situations that we're under that are stressful will eventually diminish or even go away with time. You know, what might seem really critical in the moment doesn't necessarily have to be that way. You know, just give it a little time to pass, communicate, exercise, take that hot bath or shower, whatever you need to do to just manage the stress, and eventually it will get better. So hopefully these tips helped you, and I hope that you're able to use some of them in your daily practice. So thank you for watching. This is the Healthy Place Debunking Addiction blog, and I'm Carl Shalahorn.